Welcome to your reading. Thank you everybody who has been liking and subscribing. Got a Knight of Cups in reverse. So there is a situation where someone isn't feeling so confident in other people's ability to sort of give them their relationship or give them the connection that they're wanting. They could also be sort of they could also sort of not believe in love or not believe in trust, or they could have had they could have had an experience in the past where it made them sort of not trust people's genuine offers of affection, or it makes them sort of look through other people and sort of look to their motivations, like, oh, I know you're being nice to me, but like, why are you being nice to me? Like, what is your motivation for this? That sort of thing. Not necessarily a good or bad thing, just saying that's where they're coming from. And there's a Queen of Wands. This could be the same person, or this could be someone else. I think it's the same person. I think if this person is the same person, they're actually in their real life a Queen of Wands. They're a creative, inspired, inspirational, motivational, attractive, expressive. I feel like that Knight of Cups in reverse is more like a protective measure they take, because they being the Queen of Wands, they do attract people. They tend to attract people that they may not necessarily always want to interact with. People that might not always necessarily have their best intentions at heart. They may sort of see everything the Queen of Wands has to offer, and they may sort of want to get access to it without paying the proper tribute, so to speak, having the proper respect, meeting the Queen of Wands where they are, meeting them at the same level they are. So I think in order for the Queen of Wands to be the Queen of Wands, they have to be incredibly discerning about people's emotional offers to them, where people come up to them and try to engage with them on an emotional level. They have to, and they might necessarily not necessarily even want to do that, but they may have to vet people a lot. They may have to sort of look to people's intentions and look sort of past their actions and look to their intentions and decide whether or not they're going to allow people to offer them emotional connection, or offer them favors, or offer them something to do with cups, because they're protecting that part of themselves that could be derailed if they allow someone to get too close to them. Basically, they're being self-protective. Like, if I think of it like fire can put water out. No, that's the opposite. I apologize. Water can put fire out. See what the reversal will do? Water can put fire out. And if this Queen of Wands is trying to stay engaged with that flame of hers, and people are trying to put water towards her in some way, shape, or form, she has to be careful how much water she allows, because it could put out her flame. And the Ten of Cups in reverse. This could be that feeling of, how do I say that? Like, feeling like not connected or disengaged from a community, or not really feeling like everybody's with everybody and everybody's for everybody and everybody's all like one big happy. It's kind of like the opposite. Like, there's not a lot of that. There's a lot of feeling disconnected or distrustful or fearful in a community. Now, this could be actually the impact, the Queen of Wands being vetting people's intentions. This could be the impact where people sense that she's not really very nice, or that you shouldn't connect to her, or that she doesn't want to be your friend, or that she doesn't care about you. And it could leave people feeling this way. It could even sort of put a bad taste in their mouths when they go around the area where they see this person, or where they feel this person's at, and they sort of feel that the entire environment is unwelcoming. This could also be the feeling that Queen of Wands gets. Like, they could accept that they don't in order to protect their flame, they have to sacrifice being a part of that Ten of Cups. Sometimes that's the sacrifice this person has to make. That they'll look and they'll say, well, I kind of wish I had all these people. I kind of wish I had all this big group of friends and family and all this. But in order to keep my flame going, I have to vet people. I have to second check them. I have to engage with their... I have to engage not with their initial actions towards me. I have to engage with their motivations for their actions. And that makes people feel unwelcome. Unwelcome around her. Or around them. I'm just saying her because it's reads as Queen. The Chariot. Yeah, and that's, like I said, the sacrifice that this Queen of Wands has to make in order to keep her flame burning as bright as possible. That she has to vet people, and people can feel unwanted, unloved, and uncared for, and feel like it even leaks out into their external environment. Where they're around that kind of energy, they feel isolated and unloved and uncared for and unwanted and empty and desolate and all the things. And that could be, like I said, how that Queen of Wands perceives other people's reactions to her vetting them. But in order to keep the Chariot in line, she has to do that. That is her decision. That is her sacrifice she's made in order to keep herself focused. And the Chariot is laser-focused energy that moves forward and doesn't be deviated or distracted from one thing to the next. So the Queen of Wands could actually perceive that Ten of Cups, or Ten of Cups in reverse. Because no matter what and how this Queen of Wands acts, no matter how friendly or open or how many people she has over for pancakes, they're still going to have that. There's still going to be this environment where people are disconnected, distrustful, feeling empty, feeling like people owe them things, and it's like she can't, the Queen of Wands can't think that it is entirely her responsibility to build a community to a Ten of Cups when she would be the only one doing it. When other people would be just fine being Ten of Cups in reverse. As long as that Queen of Wands would be doing all the work, that would be okay. So I just want to preface that there seems to be a lot of expectation on that Queen of Wands to create, with her ability to create some kind of fantasy community where everything would be a perfect thing and everyone would feel welcome and nobody would ever feel excluded, ever. But then, what would happen to that Queen of Wands? I don't know. I don't think much good would happen to that Queen of Wands. I think she would lose her fire. I think that she'd end up feeling resentful. So that she has to vet people. She has to sort of stop people at the door and say, okay, what are your intentions for trying to engage with me? I can't let you engage with me for no reason. And then she keeps herself focused. Whatever goal she has, and the Queen of Wands always has something in the works. It always has some kind of thing cooking. Always something that she's working on, then she has another thing she's working on, then she has another project she's involved in, and then she has 3 more things lined up ahead of that. So she can't afford, this Queen of Wands can't afford to be distracted by anything. And also, this Queen of Wands has to be very, very vigilant of other people attempting to guilt her and shame her into giving them more credit emotionally than they deserve. Because they somehow see this Queen of Wands as the gateway to that Ten of Cups being in the upright. If they could just sort of get her to let her guard down just a little bit, everything would be perfect. It wouldn't be. And that Queen of Wands would suffer. And it would only ever be that Queen of Wands making that decision to not vet people and not set boundaries and let things happen whatever way out of that guilt and that shame and that fear of obligation, that feeling of obligation. That Queen of Wands would suffer, and they would be alone suffering. Nobody else probably would even notice that they were suffering. They'd be too busy enjoying their Ten of Cups. They would just not even notice. So then who is responsible for that? Queen of Wands. Responsible for that. Not responsible to make Ten of Cups in the upright. Responsible to keep things in perspective. Because they can be a very responsible person, but people have a tendency sometimes, especially people who can't carry their own emotional weight, have a tendency sometimes to put too much pressure on that Queen of Wands and too much expectations on the Queen of Wands to create something that most likely won't even be reality based. And probably won't even serve the Queen of Wands in any way, really. There's the Queen of Swords, yeah. And in this circumstance, the Queen of Wands becomes the Queen of Swords. With that Chariot, her energy, their energy, is laser focused and directed and is not deterred or detracted by anything, much less anything she was manipulated into allowing, because with that Knight of Cups, this Queen of Wands is incredibly vigilant for reasons. And is very, very boundaried for reasons. So then with that ability to very abruptly cut people off, or very abruptly remove people from their life, or very abruptly set boundaries and not feel any sort of real way about it, and not have to explain oneself, because not your business really to know why someone's deciding not to let you in their life. They become the Queen of Swords, where they're honest, they're expressive, verbally. They aren't afraid to say what they need to say. They aren't afraid to communicate. They're very directed with their words. Like, their thoughts are clear. They're concerned with fairness and justice, but not to the extent where they're allowing people to take advantage of them. And also the Queen of Wands talks about someone who may be single, or someone who maybe experienced a lot of issues in relationships, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of abuse, a lot of manipulation and betrayal. So then they've put their walls up in a good way. They're guarding themselves from, in the future, being used, having their emotions used against them, or having their desire to be a certain way used against them. They don't really even seem to care anymore. Two of Swords. So there's some sort of mental conflict. I'm thinking this actually has to do with how that Queen of Wands has to be. They have to be very, very strong and guarded at all times in this circumstance to protect themselves and protect their goals and protect their life and protect their self-image and protect their everything. And I'm thinking how cold they have to be, or how calculated they have to be in order to prevent anything happening, sometimes makes them feel as if they don't know whether or not they're doing the right thing. Sometimes they'll get in their head and they'll think, should I have been so abrupt with that person? Should I have not given that person more of a benefit of the doubt, even though my instincts were telling me that they were up to no good? Should I have, like, should I be softer? Should I be easier? Should I be kinder? Should I be more open? Am I, by putting the walls up in this direction and being this way, am I doing something wrong? There's that self-doubt that can creep in, which I think is probably normal. Because if that Queen of Wands was to allow anyone that close, they would put that feeling of self-doubt in them. And even without even trying to let people that close, some people slip up to their boundaries, or ride right up to their boundaries and try to push into their boundaries just a little too much. And then still that fear of, you're not being nice enough, you're being too harsh, you're being too this, you're controlling, you're this way. You're not allowing for people to get to know you. And it can sometimes make them a little bit, not insecure, but it can sort of make them think about it sometimes. It can sort of play on their mind slightly sometimes. And the World's in the upright. Even though sometimes that can be a real element of a person's mind, they could sort of think, was I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Was I too harsh with this person? Was I reading into something that wasn't there? Even though that is an element of their mind sometimes, the World's in the upright, meaning this is some kind of completion, like some kind of ending, and some kind of something drawing to a conclusion where everything is exactly the way it should be. This could have been a lot of work that this person did, this Queen of Wands, Queen of Swords. They could have done a lot of work to create this life where they live, where they're the ones in control and they're the ones in charge, and they don't let anybody to come in and manipulate them. And it sometimes could feel like they're going overboard with being that way, but they're safe.